Okay, so a lot of stuff happened in this episode, and some of the things were just a little bit too predictable, but it was jam-packed with stuff, and we didn't have a side case this week, and I actually prefer that because we could focus on all the drama of the main cast. So, I personally think Laurel and her unborn child will survive, but I'm curious to see what you think. Please post your thoughts down below. Now, the question is, who is the baby's daddy? I also think that it is Wes, because Frank is the obvious choice. Now, I know we haven't seen them hook up, but just because we haven't seen them hook up doesn't mean it's already happened, because it should have happened this week, because she is 4 weeks along in the finale. But I think we could get that flashback in the finale, personally. Or, honestly, they can make us wait with that cliffhanger of who is the dad for the second half of this season. So Bonnie is calling someone to let them know that Laurel was found in the house and that she's pregnant. And who is this person? Now, I would think it would have to be the baby's father, so I'm going to assume that it is Wes who she's on the phone with, because I don't know if Laurel knew she was pregnant, and I also don't know if I don't know if anyone knew she was pregnant, so this was like news to everyone. But I think she can only be on the phone with 2 people, Frank or Wes, and I think whoever she wasn't on the phone with is the dead person. So, I mean, I don't know, because that means it would be Frank, but I still have a feeling that it could be Wes who dies, so please post your thoughts down below about that, because there's a lot of stuff I'm going to be asking you to see what you think during this video. So just to recap, do you think Laurel's going to live? Do you think that baby's going to live, even though it's just a few weeks along? And who do you think is under the sheet? And who is on the phone with Bonnie? Okay, so we learned a lot about Frank. I think this episode was called All About Frank or whatever, and this really was all about Frank because, we always knew he had a shady past, but we didn't know just how shady it was. But we found out that Sam was actually a person who helped him a long time ago, and eventually Annalise, because he tried to kill his dad when he was 13, and he had been in jail for a long time. And it wasn't just like some sort of accident or whatever, like he plotted it out. Now, I think his dad had treated him badly as a kid, but he was really adamant about, no, it wasn't an accident, I plotted this and everything. So he's a really troubled person, which I think that, no one is shocked by that, but we just didn't know the extent and like exactly what had gone on in his life. So Annalise is, she's definitely an alcoholic, and I think we kind of picked up on that, but this really focuses this episode on her issue with alcoholism. And I know at moments when she was drunk and dancing around, it was a little bit comical, but really and truly it's just sad, because we know it's just not a thing she does every once in a while, like she has a serious issue. So she goes to an AA meeting, and the president of the school thinks she's just totally making this up, and so does that crazy lawyer that Nate is sleeping with. They think she's just using this as an excuse to get reinstated at the school, but we know that it's actually a serious problem. And I was really happy when she started throwing all the alcohol away, but then she started having Sam flashbacks, and she dug it all out again and got stupid drunk. So, alright, so I've always wondered about Frank and Bonnie, like, had they hooked up in the past or what? Because I was totally getting that vibe, and so I knew this episode, like, it was gonna happen, whether it was for the first time or a multiple time, like, it was gonna happen, and it did happen. And here's the thing, I felt really bad for Laurel when this was going on, because she kept texting Bonnie like, have you seen Frank? Are there any updates? Whatever. And Bonnie kept texting her back and absolutely lying. But it was like karma was served to Bonnie, because Frank mentioned that they could just like run away together, and I think she halfway believed that. And like the next morning when she went to check on him, he had disappeared again. And I think she was really crushed, because she is someone who really needs other people. Like, she needed Annalise when she had that breakdown when she thought Annalise was getting rid of her. She was very attached to Sam and like in love with Sam, and I think she's been very attached to Frank and in love with Frank for a long time. And it's probably because of the abuse she faced with her father, but she doesn't really have someone in her life that has her back and that's there for her. And I think Asher would have been that person, but she couldn't get over the incident of the rape at his like fraternity house, I think, or with his fraternity brothers, which he didn't actually rape someone, but she felt he was, someone who was an accessory to this, and she can't get over that. And so he's moved on to Michaela, and she's just kind of alone again. So we also knew that we were going to find out in this episode who was putting up the flyers, and I had all kinds of crazy ideas for this, and I went into the episode thinking Wes did it because it would just be such a shocker, and he does have his issues with Annalise, but it turns out it is who we thought it was at the beginning, which was way too obvious in my opinion, and it was that new kid, Simon. Now, on the surface, this is pretty lame, I'm not going to lie, but they didn't explain his motivation for doing this, and Annalise just kind of dismissed it as he was like a sad kid, but I think it goes way deeper than that, because if you remember, he was saying that she was a killer and everything, and like, where is he getting this type of info? I think he has some insider information, so I definitely think he is connected to some of the storylines we've seen in the past. I 100% believe that, and I do believe that this season it will be revealed what his motivation was. Either he's directly connected or he is being blackmailed in some way. When we had our live chat this week, someone thought maybe Oliver was blackmailing him. I know you Oliver fans hate when I say he's doing something bad, but I do like the idea because maybe he hacked into his computer or something, I don't know. Or maybe someone else like the president of the university is blackmailing him to mess with her. I don't really know. I just know it's not like one sad person who just had this idea to hang up these crazy flyers and he has no other reason. So thumbs up if you agree with that. What was really cool though is that I enjoyed when Michaela stood up to him in this episode, and then I also enjoyed when Annalise went and confronted him and she was like, I know you're the one doing this and all of that, and I think he was equally scared by both women. So all right, so when I was trying to figure out who was the baby's daddy, Laurel's baby's daddy, well, obviously everyone's going to think it's Frank, but we get this interaction on the stairs between Wes and Laurel where he's telling her he wants to break up with his girlfriend Maggie, who I don't think we saw in this episode, so hooray. But anyway, he wants to break up with her, and he kind of is going with the conversation like, so that we can get together because Frank is out of the picture, and she's like, no, Frank is not out of the picture, because we know she's still like majorly in love with him, and so she kind of shuts down Wes. So again, I think they have already hooked up like before this scene, they just failed to show it to us on purpose, and maybe when they hooked up he was thinking they could definitely start dating and he likes her more. I mean, he's had that connection with her since last season, so it's not like a new thing, but I don't think that Frank is going to end up being her baby's daddy. So, Annalise tells the president that she's going to sue the school, and I'm sure she'll be right back teaching, like I have no doubts, because pretty much anything Annalise wants, Annalise gets. So then we get to the end of this episode, and that's when we get, all the crazy drama and the big reveal of who is our survivor this week. They did it in kind of an interesting way because we got to meet Michaela's mom for the first time, and at first we were like, why? I think it was somebody's phone was in the couch of Connor's phone, I guess, was in the couch of Michaela's. We don't really know why, but we do find out that Michaela is our survivor. I think Oliver was the one making that phone call. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then the biggest piece of news is that we saw like on a TV screen from a news report that the person under the sheet is male. So that leaves us with Nate, Asher, Connor, Frank, and Wes as the possibilities. I don't think they'll go back and, dig up some random as our dead person. And I don't think Simon's going to be in there. So I want to know, out of those 5 guys, we're really narrowing it down now. I'm going to go with Wes. But if I had to name 2, I would say it was between, this is hard, I think Frank is too obvious, so I'm going to say Wes and Connor, because I think Connor would be a shocking death for the fans and for the Keating 5, and I think the cast members wouldn't take it as hard if Frank died, except for like Bonnie Laurel. I don't know, but I'm curious to see who you think dies and why. Like, what's your reasoning about why the show would kill them off? And again, does Laurel survive? Does her baby survive? Who is her baby's father? And anything else I asked you before. Currently, I'm trying to reach 5,000 subscribers, which is great because I was just trying to reach 4,000 not too long ago. And thankfully, a lot more people are finding my channel, so maybe you're one of those people. I have the schedule in the down bar so you can see if you watch any other shows that I watch. And hopefully you can come to some of the live reactions and live chats. But I would really appreciate you thumbs upping this video and subscribing if you enjoyed this video. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Kelly TV. I will be back next week with all kinds of stuff for you. Look down below to see when I'll be on next. So bye guys.